Hey everybody! Thank you for joining us on the Growler Hour here, and we have Los Tocaya here. Yes, thank you, Tocayas with an S. We have Isabel here. So I've got Isabel, and she and I go way back. In 2003, we went through the Fire Academy in the EPCC. She outperformed all of us, so it's always great to see her come back. She came into real estate, and yeah, super happy to have her here. And Andrew?
We also have Isabel Chacon, who is the pick of the Texas Realtors Southwest Region 16, who is here to give us some updates about what's going on in the government.
Awesome. Thank you for having us.
So what we've got going on, guys, is you know it's almost that time. Elections are ramping up. You can't turn on your computer or TV and not hear an ad, or drive half a block and not see a sign.
A couple of signs.
Or scroll on Instagram,
Yeah.
for those of you who are under your age.
So those who are not 90 at heart.
Just testing, go ahead.
We're trying something new. So what we're doing is we're talking about, you know, realtors are very much into the political scene. We like to know what's going on. We like to see it. Isabel, we're going to go with you. You're the pick. One, explain what a pick is, and two, explain the importance of why realtors should be paying attention to what's going on political-wise.
Political Involvement Committee is PIC, and I'm the member for Region 16, which is our area, El Paso. It sounds like a big region, but it really is just El Paso.
It's quite large, though.
Yeah, it is, but I am
It's kind of a big
dedicated.
deal.
It's the best region.
I agree.
Thank you,
I
Isabel.
agree.
We don't have the
We're
numbers.
far out, right? We're far
We're
out.
in a different
but
time zone.
We do have our own time zone, right?
That's true.
But I love doing what I do. This year is one very unique year for us as far as elections go.
Mhm.
It's a very topic that I don't know how to explain the topic, but it's not a hot topic, but a very important topic, because we have 7 new positions that are open for elections this year, just here locally. We're not talking about Socorro, we're not talking
And
about
that you mean
county.
city council-wide.
Yeah,
Yes,
city council, mayor, it's just a lot of new positions. And so it's very important for everybody to be educated and knowledgeable on making sure that they go out and vote and tell others to vote as well.
So I think that's what's, and you're actually brought a lot of cool physical props for me here, but like realtors, for instance, right? We shouldn't necessarily look at us as blue or red, but we are the purple party. You can get your cool purple kicks on for us here.
Purple.
Everybody, I don't know if you saw that, Ryan, text work, Brenda, anybody? Good, we'll say you saw. They're purple, they're Chuck Taylors, kind of a big deal. Anyways, what we're not really looking at is Republican or Democrat, right? As realtors, why we should be so interested in what the PIC does and what you guys are doing for us is our local politicians, right? What they do, what they vote for, what they represent is huge and has a huge impact on us and our industry, right? It's so important for realtors to be paying attention. You know, it blows
It's
my
all
mind.
in the P. It's a purple solution, and we're for the people. We're for property rights. It's all over the place as far as us being involved and caring for what it is that's going on in the political world.
Yeah, and what's really cool, and I don't think a lot of people realize, certainly for realtors, is that you guys go above and beyond to make sure you actually bring in local politicians. You sit there and you've been through this, right? Like
I've been
you
on
guys are
both
very
sides of it.
Yeah, you bring them in, and then you just grill them and say, hey, were you going to vote for this? Do you support this? Do you not support this? And all of that has something that is a direct reflection to us and our career paths. I mean, that's why it's so important. A lot of people go and they vote, and they maybe know 1 or 2 people, right, or 1 or 2 things that they're interested in, and everybody else they kind of like, well, I don't know, I saw this guy's sign everywhere, or their name sounds cool, or this one's pretty, this one's not, whatever, right? What we can do is really pay attention to what you guys do. You put in the work. When you guys get behind a politician, it's for a reason, and it's because they are actually looking out for what we as a whole, regardless of party affiliations, what we as a whole in our industry is looking for. Is that correct? Like, can you walk us through that process?
Hours. We do the research. We schedule candidate interviews. We discuss all the interviews, and we take a stance. And it's a committee. It's a governmental affairs committee, and There's a lot of us in the committee, and sometimes we disagree, sometimes it's an easy agreement, but at the end of the day, we all agree cohesively as one, and that's the candidate that we pick after a lot of deliberation back and forth. It's not just, oh, I like him because, you know, I went to school with him and therefore we should go with him. No, it's a whole committee that is doing this, and it's hours. This year it's 4 days from morning till dark that we're gonna be doing candidate interviews.
And I think that's a big one, right? Like a lot of people think, oh, well, they probably know somebody or whatever. Like they see that you guys are supporting somebody. That is because you guys grilled them. And that's a big one for you, right? Like
I've been on both sides. And I think what Isabel said, it needs to be reset. There are 9 people in our city council. There's 8 city reps and a mayor. And right now, 7 of the 9 are up for election, which is kind of unheard of. And it's kind of insane. And it's something that we need to be aware of because, you know, we worry so much about Trump. We worry so much about Harris. At the end of the day, what happens on your local level affects your business way more than what happens on the federal level. And
it's overlooked.
Yeah, I mean, city council can make a rule that can put people out of business. County commissioners can do something that can put people out of business. And it's an important thing that we need to understand and be aware of. And the sad truth is, if I ask a room of 50 people, maybe 5 can tell me who their city rep is. Maybe 1 can tell me who their school board member is. Maybe 1. And it's a sad truth that they're sitting on huge, I mean, millions upon millions of dollars, tax dollars, and spending, and how it's going to be spent, where it's going to be spent, on regulations, and no one's paying attention. And
Affordability.
absolutely. As someone who has been on both sides, we, you know, I'm a former county commissioner. I did not receive anything like when the Realtors did in their interviews. I mean, almost every place I would go, it was 2 or 3 people. You'd sit down, they'd ask you a couple questions, get up. You sit down in front of the Realtors, there's about 20 people who are knowledgeable, who have questions, who are grilling you, and I was the president of the Realtors at the time, and I was like, you guys are making me very uncomfortable right now, and I'm the president.
You get that a lot.
It's a great process where there is a lot done to make sure, and unfortunately, I mean, fortunately, we have a better turnout at voters from Realtors than non-voters, but not enough. And Realtors need to do a better job of going out and voting and proving the grassroots good.
Yes, and we're working on that. We have been working so hard for the last, I'm gonna say 8 years, on trying to make sure that the Realtors get it on how important it is. It's important for our business, it's important for our community. And so the Realtors do get it, but can we do better? Yes, we can do better. El Paso is one of the lowest voting percentages there is. It's really sad. But the Realtors do vote at over 40%. So it's a big difference of the number that vote locally at 11% versus what Realtors vote at 43%. But this year, we've been working really hard, and we're gonna make sure that it's over 50%.
So that process as you do, where you bring in the politicians and you ask them all these questions, can me as a regular old realtor, can I go to that? Can I view it?
We are encouraging that. We are encouraging that very much so this year, because it is open to everybody. Of course, the committee is the one that's gonna do the interview, and they're gonna do the discussions, but all members of the association are welcome to attend the interviews.
Am I allowed to say anything, throw stuff? What am I allowed to do at that point?
No.
Hear all the information. Learn.
I said anything.
Learn.
It's kind of a chuckle.
Learn. We want all our realtors to be informed and make a better decision on your own voting, on what you decide that you're going to vote for. We're not going to tell you how to vote. Like you said, we're not red, we're not blue. We want to be part of the solution, and so what we want is for voters to be informed. Mm-hmm. So don't you want to know who you're voting for? That's the opportunity that we're going to be giving you, is knowing.
Well, and it's hard. I mean, I consider myself a fairly political person.
You are.
No.
I will walk into I will walk into a voting booth and I have no idea who half these people are.
Or what the ballot is saying, which is going to be the biggest topic this year, is how the language is being written for a lot.
The sad truth is, I mean,
it's a trick.
we're an uneducated society. I mean, railroad commissioner, Nick, what is a railroad commissioner in charge of? Absolutely, oil and gas, not railroads. And that's the problem is people are like,
I was
oh,
gonna say, they didn't give me a chance. Everybody saw that. They didn't give me
The
a chance.
railroad.
and that's the
That's
problem.
where you guys would
is-
say, aw. 'Cause I was gonna, yeah, okay. Aw.
Don't agree.
No? We'll work on it.
But what we've
Okay.
got to do is do a better job of, making sure we can have as good of an idea as we can walking into a booth. Because I spend a lot of time researching candidates, but even I will walk into a booth and be like, I don't know the difference between this person and this
But you're
person
there to
and this
vote
person.
for the races that you do know,
Exactly.
but then you're there, and did you know that if you don't know, you don't have to
Yeah.
vote?
There's nothing wrong with undervoting if you don't know. And that's a huge thing. I mean, voting on someone because you like their name, voting on someone because
Which is exactly what I do. Like, if it
And
sounds
you-
hardcore, you got my vote, right? Like 100%.
Right, but you don't know what,
I mean,
what
my-
the underlying,
That's my whole point,
is-
right? Like if I go in there, I usually know what, I don't know, anybody with the last name Haggerty's going for. That's usually a high vote. But at the end
There's
of
a
the
lot
day,
of those.
there's way too many. But I usually have one or two people that I'm going to vote for. And I go, or I know, one thing
Yeah.
that they're like, hey, we're going to go for this. And I've already figured that out. Because if I were to show up and try and read what the hell they're talking about, I'm like, I don't know what this is. I don't even know should I say yes or should I say no? I usually have to text him. But
There's
I
so
think,
many
am I-
double negatives in
there's
those.
Am I-
so
is
many
this yes or
double
no?
negatives, and that's the problem that we don't know at the end of the day how it's hurting us. And so if you don't know, you can pass that one and go vote for the race that you do know. That way you're not actually hurting us in a way that you didn't know you were hurting us.
So this is my thing. Everybody says, get out and vote. Right? You always hear this. Hey, just get out and vote. Just get out and vote. That's all anybody ever says. That's all you ever hear, right? And I'm assuming you're probably a fan of that. Just get out and vote, right? Yes?
Right, I'm always saying it.
Problem is, what if I get out and vote and I vote for the guy that sounds like, I don't know, like it's LaFleur and I think it means wolf, but it's really flower, but whatever, right? Like I see the name, I'm like, man, it sounds awesome. But that guy's against us, right? Or
Well,
against
it's
something. that I-
name recognition. If you see it 5 times,
But that's my point.
you're more than likely going to vote for that
That's
name just because you saw it 5
That's
times.
exactly my point, though. Should I get out and vote if I don't know what the hell I'm voting for?
No, you should be
Well, then,
informed.
so we need to change that.
Yeah.
Figure out what, right?
Yeah.
You-
Yeah, no, I think educating, not only are we saying get out and vote, but we have to educate. And I think as realtors, we are hand in hand. So realtors in politics, I think is great to name it because we should be informed as realtors. And we are also the reach to our community, our sellers, our buyers, our everybody. So if we are informed, we're able to pass that on to our community. And so we're kind of like an extension to that. So I think it's very important for us as realtors to educate ourselves, not only with, everything about real estate, but everything that's going on locally. And that way we could pass that on to our community.
No, and
Spot
that,
on.
and exactly right, 100%. I agree with that. Now, how do we figure that out? How do you guys let us know? You guys go through all this work. Now, again, we should all show up. Realtors should show up. You guys do it. How should realtors figure that out? Other than showing up,
The board does a very good job of sending out actual full emails of these are the candidates that have been backed by the
outcome.
community, by the Government Affairs Committee. This is the bios, this is their information, this
so,
is who
so
they
read
are.
our emails. is what you're
Read
saying.
our emails would be fantastic. I just got jazz hands, I'm assuming that means 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Okay,
Is he getting the red thing? That's, you're not being
No.
entertaining enough?
I got spirit fingers.
Spirit fingers.
So,
You see? Okay. No, and that's huge, right? But is there another way that we get that other than just that email? Because I don't know about you guys, and I don't know about every other realtor in this town.
they don't read.
Well, hell no, because how many real estate emails are you getting a day? Emails gotten ridiculous. So what are some ways that we can really get that education out there?
I
Right?
think,
'Cause-
yeah, it's just something that we need to do on our own. We need to do the research. I mean, there's plenty of platforms out there that we can learn from. And as a realtor, we need to look for those platforms and educate ourselves. It's easy to say like, well, you didn't give us the material. Well, what did you do to go find it,
Or,
We need to
or
take
what
ownership.
can
ownership. Yeah.
Or what can we do for
Brokerage.
you to want to open that email? Because the email, like he said, that the association sends out has the link and has all the information right there for you on the outcome of all the interviews and all the hard work that we did. So what could we do to make you want to open that email?
I
Do we
think-
put a fire hydrant? Do we put
Explosions.
sirens?
No,
bikinis.
I think a survey, I think it's
Yeah.
important for us to know also what realtors are thinking, and what's important to the realtors as well. So maybe if we engage with the realtor, we have them opening these emails, we have them, actually being a part of it. So maybe engagement.
I think a big one is obviously getting brokers involved, Because at the end of the day, you're right. It's going to come down to personal ownership. We really need to get the education out there and understand, hey, look, this is really important. Because we can sit here and complain all day long that our property taxes are too high.
Right.
I've heard you say this many times. Hey, we gotta get our property taxes down. That rate is ridiculous, right? But who does that, right? Everybody wants to blame the cat. Everybody wants to blame this, but really, who does that?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
it's
Who's allowing it to happen?
Well, yeah,
That's what
exactly.
I'm asking.
We're
Who's
allowing
allowing
it because
it?
we're approving, these bonds, or we're approving these rates, these increases, and really, we really don't know what we're doing until it's too late. Now we see it because now it's so high out of the control that we're like, now it's affecting us.
Because they word it to where it sounds great, right? We want to raise the quality of life. We want to do this. We want to give it to the kids. We want to do all this kind of stuff. It sounds great, but where does that money come from? You said this 1,000 times.
Or where is the money going?
Not just where's it going, but first
Where's it
let's
going?
figure
Yeah,
out where it comes from.
where-
Does the government have any money?
And one of my favorite quotes, I mean, the government cannot give you anything and is not first taken from someone else.
100%.
And right now, this year on the ballot, you're going to have the county between the county and UMC Hospital, trying to raise over $800 million in bonds.
847.
Hold on, say that again. Say that number again.
$800 million.
And let me ask you another question. Before that even happens, are our property taxes super high?
They're the
Yeah,
second
We're
highest.
second
Yeah.
highest.
We're
That's
already hurting.
wild. And we don't have, like, if you go to Austin, at least they got a cool lake you can run around in, a cool park and whatever the case is. Like, what are we getting for that? Other than they're redoing the curbs every 5 seconds, every 10 feet.
And I'll play devil's advocate.
No, we don't want that. Go ahead.
I'll play devil's advocate. I mean,
Thank you.
we have a huge disadvantage and advantage in the place that we are located. Being on the border, there's some great opportunities for us,
Agree with you.
but there's some huge disadvantages. Our county hospital is overrun with people who cannot afford to pay their county bills. Our schools are overrun with people who come across the border and don't pay property taxes, but use our education system.
And we have a lot of districts.
Fire department.
Our fire department, our police, all of these industries are overrun with people who are coming across the border who are not paying taxes. There's good and bad about being on a border, and it's something we have to understand. And that's never going to go away. The problem is we need to make sure what we're doing financially sound. And because it sounds good, because it looks good, is not a reason to spend $800 million. We are in a situation right now where we're looking at building a 5-block park over I-10. Is that what we need to be doing in a situation where they're the second highest taxing entity in the United States? Because it's not going to be cheap. And the biggest problem with it not going to be cheap, who's going to maintain it after we build this giant
And
opportunity?
are they gonna build it on time?
Well,
Is it feasible?
but I mean, there's issues, and there's just stuff that we need to know, we need to be aware of, and we're not. We don't know who our school board members are, and one of our school boards voluntarily gave up their power to the state because they were doing such a ineffective job, and that's a terrifying thought. We have another school district that just got out of being overseen by the state because of the job they were doing. And these entities are making $500 million in taxes a year that we're paying for. And are we getting what we should out of it? Are we doing what we should out of it? But if we're not paying attention, if we keep electing the same people over and over again, we as a community are telling them we're happy with what you're doing. And we are very loud to complain that we're not happy with spending with where we're at, but we keep reelecting them. So our actions are not matching our voice. We need to pay attention. We need to do better research about who's running, what they're doing, how they're doing it, and pay attention. And not vote the way we've always voted and do what we've always done because it feels good or it looks cool or whatever, or
Best
whatever
guess.
the thought is. My wife is probably one of the most educated women I know. She voted for a guy for agriculture commissioner because his last name was Cotton, for goodness sakes.
I mean, that fits. Come here. I give her a pass on that one.
I mean, come on. But it's a sad truth, and that's the stuff.
He was born for that.
Yeah, he was born for that.
And
Did
that's
you do a good job? Did you win?
He did not win. But those are the things, is we need to pay attention to what we're doing. And I get in trouble when I say this a lot, but if you don't know, don't vote. Because you could be doing a lot of harm. Because the amount of, as someone who was a county commissioner, the amount of ability that you have to bring money in or take money out of the community is terrifying.
Yeah. Don't know, don't vote, but educate yourself. Don't miss that opportunity either.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that we are educating the voters that they can skip a vote They don't have to make a vote if they're not knowledgeable in that race.
And see, I think that's super important because every.
Because you could be hurting
No.
our community.
I'm
You
not
could
gonna-
be hurting them
Yeah.
and taking that wild guess.
It's a
you know,
50-50
Cotton,
shot.
you know,
It's a
it's
50,
just,
unless his name's Cotton.
yeah, I mean,
Come on.
okay.
But 50-50 shot, hey, this could be good or bad, unless his name literally goes along with what his job is.
So what's sad
I
is
mean, if
that
it's
right
caboose
now,
and it's railroad commission, I don't care if it's oil or not. I'm voting caboose. I'm joking. Go ahead. Sorry, stop. I'm not joking. I would totally vote for caboose or yeah. Conductor. You were saying?
Let's play a game before we.
Yeah.
Before we're done.
Oh yes, that's right.
Play
So
the game.
are we really
So-
gonna play the game?
We're gonna play a game.
we always play games here.
So what we've got going on is voting records, and Nick Haggard is a very good voter. So we're going to check and see how many elections Nick has voted in.
Yeah. So everybody
I
has
thought we were gonna
access.
start with Andrew.
Yeah, everybody has access to this. So I can share a link and you guys can sign up and you can kind of just check on your neighbors, check on your family, and be like, if they tell you I voted, well, let's see, and then you check and you're like, you haven't voted, go out and vote.
And that's exactly
You
what
know?
I was gonna say. You have a lot of people saying, I'm scared to vote.
Well,
I got it wrong last
What
time.
I'm scared of is Big Brother checking on me, but I'm gonna go ahead and play the game.
We've been in a situation. I've been. As someone who ran in the west side and the northeast. How many people from the east side? I voted for you, man.
You lying
Yes, I did.
dog.
I voted for you. You didn't. I know you didn't because you don't have the ability to vote for me. No, voted for you. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, they'll take it to the grave, but we can see otherwise. So I pulled up Andrew. Andrew has a really good voting. So
All
he
the
has
time.
he has an 85% likelihood of voting. So we're not going to use him because he's good. So let's pick somebody else. It's you, Nick. Are you under?
Yeah.
Are you
Out of the-
under Nick?
Let's just pull it out of the hat.
Let's see what you do. Are you
break.
Yeah. Nobody else go anywhere because you're next. What are you under Nicholas or Nick?
Like I said, anything that has the better voting average.
I wouldn't.
My guess would be Nicholas, though. A
Nicholas.
little fancier. You know what I'm saying?
Longer.
Nicholas John. Sounds a little.
Nicholas John.
Unless that's a horrible, then it's Nick.
Are you sure that's your
So
name?
you are a Juan?
Juan.
Juan?
Juan? Yes, I
And Andrew? You have a
Reed.
middle name?
Read.
am. Reed. What would you say that? Reed.
Reed.
Exactly the same.
So you are eligible to vote, and you have a likelihood of 31% to vote.
That's
wrong. Look up Nick then. That'd probably 98%.
Let's do Brian Berger.
Oh, look at 38%.
38%, and that's probably just because you probably missed a few. You know.
Or more
Like
than
two.
half.
Like two.
Well, he was in service.
Simple algebra tells me that's more than half the elections.
So you didn't say
Simple
the
algebra.
story, or did you,
What's that?
of how, well, you know Isabel.
Brian has 57%.
57%?
That's more than half.
Yeah.
It is, but I'm under both Nick and Nicholas. So if you average them both out,
You're at 100%. Yeah,
89.
yeah, we're good.
So,
So how
no,
about-
I did bring it up. Yes, we did all have a little bit of time to talk, a little ahead of time. But no, yeah, Isabel and I were both in the fire academy together through the EPCC. And yeah, it was awesome. Awesome experience. Isabel outperformed everybody there. She was awesome. Yeah, no, she's pretty hardcore. So,
That was
So
great.
tell them more about you.
Okay, well, I've been in the industry for 15 years, and I think I wish I knew what I know now then, and so I think it's very important for our newer realtors to know that there's so much opportunity as a realtor, and if you can get involved, not only as running for city council or any kind of that, but locally too. I mean, we have governmental affairs, we have women WCR, we have YPN, we have bunch of organizations within GEPAR that you guys can start at and just be a part of, and I think it's always a good stepping stone to showing that you're learning, because
Giving back.
yeah, really what it is just it's knowledge, and what you get out of every different committee is something good. So yeah.
Look at Andrew. Part of
Oh, almost all of them.
All of them,
actually.
yeah.
I think all of
tell us about how your apartment smells of rich mahogany and leather-bound
Well,
books.
jokes aside,
Oh, okay.
He was a county commissioner.
I mentioned I was a county commissioner. I am past president of both the El Paso and the Las Cruces Association of Realtors, past regional vice president for the Texas Realtors. I have just been named, actually, I've been elected the TREPAC trustee for Region 16 for 2025, 2026.
Congratulations.
And a big, I mean, our family has always said we have to give back. And unfortunately, due to some physical restraints, I was not able to join the military. So my giving back has always been voluntary.
And you've done great.
But, you know, I think so many people think when they, you know, politics is above them and beyond them and something that they can't do. And, you know, we talked a little bit about political families, and I think political families happen for a simple reason, is when you're in a political family, you know the politician on a different level, and you're like, I've seen that guy eat too much turkey at Thanksgiving and have to go take a nap on the couch. He's not that amazing. I mean, he's a cool guy, he's a great uncle, but he's a normal human being. And I think the benefit of being from a political family is you see is like, if they can do it, I can probably do it. I think so many people, and it shocked me to a weird degree, get so flustered around elected officials where they're like, oh my God, it's a job. And I think so many people don't take advantage of trying to run. Now, I think the problem is
It's scary.
Brian Birds, myself, Isabel is actually in the process of running currently as well, so we're very proud of her. If you've never done it, I will say I have never done anything in my life that was scarier or harder, emotionally, physically, all different things. And not only on me, but on my entire family. And that's something that you know, you don't get enough conversation out of it. You know, you don't think about till you're there and your spouse has to sit there and watch you being attacked in a debate and what that does to them. You know, what happens when you're attacked in front of your family, your children. And it's a scary process. And there's a lot of really well-to-do people, knowledgeable, who are hardworking, who do an amazing job in politics, that don't want to deal with the garbage. And you know, I loved being an elected official. I loved everything about it. There's nothing I hated more than running. It is miserable, and the problem is,
And costly.
very costly. You know, and there's all these fights that, you know, people should be allowed to raise money and they should be allowed to fundraise and there should be limits on fundraising. And all you're doing in that situation is saying that you just want the rich people to be elected officials.
But there's a lot of cost that comes with
There's
running.
costs that you don't even
I
imagine.
would say cost financially and emotionally.
And both.
Yeah.
Relationship.
It can take a toll.
Oh, absolutely, Rich.
Like, why didn't you run again? Let me ask that question.
I was in the process of planning to run for county commissioner, and my middle daughter actually came to me and said, Dad, can I tell you a secret? She's like, I secretly hoped you'd lose, was glad you lost, so you'd be home. And
Or our audience go.
and in those situations, you know, you've got a certain amount of time. You know, I'm 44 years old. There's, you know, we can always try later, but
And you have to think of the people that you're serving. And what better than to serve your family? And who knows, maybe she's gonna want to run one day.
I think that's true, right? Like, but you have to realize that, like you said, like your answer of not joining the military was to do that, which is huge. I mean, it's a big deal. Like the military, you give up freedoms so that other people can have their freedoms. In that case, you give up a lot. Like you really do. You give up your time. You give up. You give up relationships. You also give up a lot of your.
a lot of your freedoms.
Well, not just freedoms, but
You can't go to a restaurant without people.
I would almost say
Yeah,
reputation.
have you seen
Because-
people that serve at that capacity? They go from
I have seen.
hair to no hair, or
What was that?
from no white hair to all.
What are you trying to say
I'm
here?
just saying, it's a lot of stress.
Okay, that too. But what I was.
I hope I keep my hair.
I know. I didn't come up with a signal for
It was not
hanging
with
on
hair.
it, but yeah, okay, yeah. Obviously, some of us have no hair here. But what I was going to say is, like, your honor is just like horrible things. Like I saw my little
Tested,
brother being
yeah.
attacked in ways that are out of control. Like now, if
You
some
wanted
of
to
the
jump
things,
in, huh?
I did jump in half the time, and that's the problem. That's why I could never run for office. But there are times when he would call me like, "Hey, there's somebody down here saying horrible things," and I'd drive down there. I'd be like, "Hey, get out of the parking lot!" So I didn't handle it well. The thing is that he's actually a really good guy,
He
right?
is.
Me, less so. Isabel knows, right? Like, hey, you go back and like, Nick's a little rough around the edges, but Andrew's a good dude,
Yeah.
right? And there were people saying things about him that were horrible. And they made it up. And that's one of
No
those things.
truth behind it.
But
No truth.
someone who runs, you're going to have to make your peace with the fact that people are going to say things about you that are absolutely horrible, right? And that's where it's one of those things where you're willing to take that on. It's something that I think is a lot harder.
You have to wonder how important it is for them to want to, for them to put not only
If they're fighting the good
themselves,
fight, they're fighting
not
the good
only
fight.
themselves, but their families
For sure.
through it, is because the voice that you wanted to have meant a lot to you.
I have not been called a racist in 7 years, so either I just really changed who I am, or I just got out of office, one of the two. But no, it's crazy, and you know, however hard you think it's going to be, you're not even